We also talked about ordering positive and negative integers and how we start to do that, no matter if we're going least to greatest or greatest to least, is to draw a number line and plot our points on the number line. So just going from left to right, I first start out with negative 12, and that would be 2 to the left of negative 10 on my number line. Next I've got 8, and I'll label these points too. Negative 12. I've got 3, negative 6, and here I've got the absolute value of negative 4. Now, if you remember from when we talked about this, the absolute value of negative 4 is really saying how far is negative 4 from 0, and it's 4 places from 0. We talked about how the absolute value of a number is always positive. So I'm going to put a dot over 4, and I'm going to label that as the absolute value of negative 4. And I've also got 7 and negative 2. Now, if I want to go from least to greatest, I start out here with negative 12, and that's less than negative 6, which is less than negative 2, which is less than 3, which is less than the absolute value of negative 4. Which is less than 7, which is less than 8. And if I want to go from greatest to least, I start out with the largest number, which is 8, and that is larger than 7, which is larger than the absolute value of negative 4, which is larger than 3, then negative 2, negative 6, and negative 12. Negative 12. And remember we talked about how when you have positive numbers on your number line, the further to the right you go on your number line, the larger the number. And we also talked about with negative numbers, the further you go to the right, the larger your number, or the closer you get to 0, the larger your number. And after you've made your number line, the only spot to be careful of is paying attention to the wording of your question. Is your question asking you to put those numbers in order from least to greatest, or is it asking for